I woke up on my 42nd birthday. I looked at my phone. No notifications, no calls, no messages. And for the first time in my life, I didn't look for an excuse. I didn't think, they must be busy. I didn't think, maybe later. I just felt the physical weight of a truth I'd been pushing away for 20 years. To the people I supported, saved, and carried on my back, I never truly existed. Invisibility isn't about no one seeing you. It's about finally realizing that's how it's always been. And what I did with that clarity changed everything. Not in the way you imagine, in the way that truly matters. Let me tell you how I got there. Not out of nowhere. It's never out of nowhere. It's always a slow construction, made of small sacrifices that you called love. I was 17 when my father left. My mother was left with 3 children, a rented house in Des Moines, Iowa, and a credit card debt she hid under her bed. I was the oldest. My brothers were 12 and 9. Someone needed to hold things together. I gave up the idea of college, accepted a job at a building materials depot, and started paying the bills. My mother never asked. She just cried softly in her room at night, and I understood that as a request. For years, it worked. I worked in the morning, helped with homework in the afternoon, paid for electricity, water, and internet. My brothers grew up. They went to college. My mother got a better job. Gradually, the household became lighter, but I stayed there, supporting what no longer needed supporting. Because nobody ever said, "You can stop now." Nobody ever said, "Thank you, we can do it alone." I simply continued being what I always was. Invisible when present, essential when absent. I didn't realize it yet, but that role was already tattooed on me. I was the man who solves problems, the one who holds things together, the one who asks for nothing in return. And when you accept that role without questioning, the people around you learn something. Dangerous, that you have no limits, that you don't get tired, that you don't need anything. At 28, my middle brother called me. He had just graduated in marketing, but was between jobs. He needed a place to stay. 3 months, he said. He stayed a year and a half. He didn't pay rent. He ate from my refrigerator. He used my car. And when he finally left, it was because he got an apartment with his girlfriend. He didn't say thank you. He said, "Thanks, bro. We'll talk later." And we did talk. Once every 4 months. But I couldn't feel anger. I just felt like I had done my job. My younger sister called me 2 years later. She was pregnant. Her boyfriend had disappeared. She didn't have money for prenatal care. I paid for it. I paid for the appointments, the layette, the diapers for the first 6 months. When my nephew was born, she sent me a photo via WhatsApp. "Thank you, Uncle." That's all. She never invited me to meet the baby in person. She lived 40 minutes away from me. I waited for an invitation. It never came, but I kept helping, because that's what I did. My mother, by then, had already retired. She bought a trailer and started traveling with her friends. She posted photos on Facebook. Beaches, mountains, restaurants. I liked the photos. I commented, "That's great, Mom." She replied with a heart emoji. She never asked how I was, never asked if I needed anything, never asked anything. And the worst part, I thought that was normal. Because when you normalize your own invisibility, you start to believe you don't deserve to be seen. I worked 60 hours a week. I had risen to become operations manager at the warehouse. I earned well. I lived alone in a small but tidy apartment. I didn't have many friends. I never had time for that. I didn't have a girlfriend. The few who came along gave up because I was never truly available. I was always dealing with something for the family. At 40, I looked at my life and saw a straight road, without curves, without surprises. I was functional, useful, reliable, but empty, and I continued like that, because stopping hurts more than continuing. Until that birthday arrived, my 42nd birthday. I didn't make plans. I never did. But this time, something inside me was waiting. Waiting for someone to remember. Nobody remembered. Look, I know you might be listening to this while doing something else. Maybe driving. Maybe cleaning the house. Maybe just trying to switch off for a few minutes. But if anything I've said so far has resonated with you, if you've ever felt this kind of invisibility, I need to ask you something. Subscribe to the channel. Not because I need numbers, but because stories like this need to be heard. And I want you to stay with me until the end of this. Leave a comment too. Just one thing. Where are you watching me from right now? I really want to know, because you're not invisible here. I woke up at 6 in the morning as usual. I washed my face. I made coffee. I looked at my phone. Nothing. I thought, it's still early. I went to work. During my shift, I checked my phone 3 times. No messages, no missed calls, no emails. Noon arrived. I ate lunch alone in the warehouse parking lot, eating a cold sandwich I had brought from home. I looked at my phone again. Nothing. Maybe tonight, I thought. I got home at 7. I took a shower. I heated up a lunchbox. I sat on the sofa. I turned on the TV, but I wasn't paying attention. My phone was on the, coffee table, face up. I looked at it every 5 minutes. 8 o'clock. Nothing. 9 o'clock. Nothing. 10 o'clock. I turned off the TV. I sat in silence. And that's when the pang came. It wasn't anger. It wasn't sadness. It was something worse. It was clarity. I started counting. How many of my mother's birthdays did I remember? All of them. I would text early in the morning, call in the afternoon, send a gift, or transfer money. How many of my siblings' birthdays did I remember? Every single. 1. Message, call, gift, always. I even remembered my nephew's birthday, whom I had never held in my arms. And them? How many times did they remember mine? I tried to remember a year, a call, a message, anything. Nothing came to mind. And for the first time, I couldn't convince myself that everything was all right. Because it wasn't. I picked up my phone. I opened my mother's WhatsApp. The last message was mine from 2 weeks ago. Hi, Mom. How are you? Do you need anything? She had seen it. She hadn't replied. I opened the conversation with my brother. The last message was mine from a month ago. Hey, how are things? Seen. No reply. I opened the conversation with my sister. The last message was mine from 3 weeks ago. How's the little one? Seen. No reply. I was always me asking, always me remembering. I'm always the one giving. And them? They just took things. I didn't sleep that night. I lay staring at the ceiling, my head spinning, trying to understand when I had become this, when I had stopped being a person and become a function. The provider, the problem solver, the guy who's always there, but never really there, because nobody asked how I was. Nobody wanted to know if I was tired, if I was sad, if I needed anything. I only existed when they needed me, and I disappeared the rest of the time. At 5 in the morning, I gave up on sleeping. I got up, made coffee, sat at the kitchen table. I picked up an old notebook I used to write shopping lists and started writing. Not a rant, a list. A list of everything I had done for them in the last 10 years. Every bill paid, every favor, every move I helped with, every crisis I resolved, every 2 in the morning call I answered. It took me 40 minutes to fill 3 pages. When I finished, I looked at it and felt something strange. It wasn't pride, it was disgust. Disgust with myself. Because each item on that list represented a choice I had made. I had chosen to do all of that. Nobody had forced me. Nobody had put a gun to my head. I did it because I thought that if I did enough, if I gave enough, one day they would notice. One day they would reciprocate. One day they would see me, but they never did. Because I never asked to be seen. I just kept giving, and giving, and giving, until I became invisible. At 7 in the morning, my cell phone rang. It was my mother. My heart skipped a beat. She remembered, I thought. I answered. "Hi, son," she said, with that tired voice she always had. "Everything all right?" "Everything's fine," I replied, waiting. "Look, I need a little help. My car is making a strange noise, and I don't want to take it to a mechanic I don't know. Do you know anyone good?" Silence. I remained silent. "Are you there?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "I'll send you the contact information for a mechanic." "Oh, thank you, son. You always solve everything." She hung up. Didn't even ask how I was. Didn't even notice the date. And it was there that something inside me finally broke. I didn't send the mechanic's contact information. For the first time in 25 years, I simply didn't do what I was asked. I left her message marked as read. I waited. 5 hours later, she sent another message. "So, son, did you get the contact?" I looked at the message. My fingers trembled. I wanted to write so many things. I wanted to ask if she knew what day it was. I wanted to shout that I existed beyond the solutions I offered. But I didn't write any of that. I just wrote, "I couldn't, Mom. Sorry." And I turned off my cell phone. I spent the rest of the day without looking at it. I went to work. I attended meetings. I solved logistical problems. I went home. I made dinner. I ate in silence. And when I finally turned on my cell phone at 9 o'clock at night, I had 7 messages. None of them were happy birthday. My mother, "Oh, it's okay. I'll ask the neighbor." My brother, "Hey bro, do you have that contact for that guy who works repairing laptops?" Mine's breaking down. My sister, "Hi, uncle. Sorry to bother you, but could you lend me $300? I have to pay for the baby's daycare and my credit card is maxed out. I'll pay you back next month." I read the messages twice, 3 times, hoping one of them would say something different. But no, it was always the same thing. Requests, problems, needs. Me. I didn't reply. I locked my phone and put it on the bedside table face down. I lay down. I looked at the ceiling again. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty for not replying. I felt relief. 2 days later, my sister called me. I answered. "Hi, Uncle," she said, with that slightly whiny tone she used when she wanted something. "Did you see my message?" "Yes." "So, can you help me?" I took a deep breath. "I can't right now," I said. Silence on the other end. "What do you mean?" "I'm a little tight on money this month." A lie, but a necessary lie. "Ah, okay." Her voice went cold instantly. Understand." "Sorry," I said. "It's all right." She hung up. He didn't call me again. In the following days, I tried something. I stopped initiating conversations. I stopped texting to ask how they were doing. I stopped solving problems without being directly asked. I stopped offering. I just stopped. And you know what happened? Silence. Absolute silence. My mother didn't text me for a week. My brother, too. My sister only reappeared when she needed more money. 10 days after my birthday, she texted, "Hi, Uncle. Did you manage to get organized? I still need those 300. I looked at the message. My fingers hesitated. I could reply. I could say yes. I could transfer the money, as I always did. But something in me had already changed. "I won't be able to, sorry," I wrote. She saw it. Didn't reply. 2 weeks later, it was my mother's birthday. I always called in the morning. Always sent flowers. Always transferred money. This time, I only sent a message. "Happy birthday, Mom." No call, no flowers, no transfer. She replied, "Thank you, son." That's all. He didn't ask why I hadn't called. He didn't ask if everything was okay. He just thanked me and disappeared. and I realized something devastating. They didn't miss me. They missed what I did. A week later, my brother called me, for the first time in months. "Hey, bro, long time no see." "Yeah," I said, emotionlessly. "Dude, I need some help. Remember that job I told you about? Well, I got it, but the car I bought broke down, and I need $1,500 to fix it. Can you lend it to me? I'll pay you back in 3 installments. $1,500, 3 installments. I'd heard this story before. He never paid. "I can't," I said. "What do you mean?" "I don't have it right now." "But, dude, it's an emergency." "I understand, but I can't." Silence. "Okay." His voice went cold. "Thanks anyway." He hung up. He didn't call again. A month and a half after my birthday, my mother called me at 10 o'clock at night. I was lying down, watching whatever was on TV. I answered. "Hi, son." "Hi, Mom. Sorry for calling so late. It's just, I'm worried about you." I sat up in bed. This was new. "Worried? Why?" "You're acting strange. You've disappeared. You don't text, you don't call. Your brother said you didn't want to help him with the car. Your sister said you're kind of distant. What's going on?" I was silent for a few seconds. So much wanted to come out. But I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to vent. I was going to do something worse. I was going to tell the truth. "Mom, do you know what day my birthday was?" Silence. "Your birthday. It was last month, wasn't it?" "It was. The 8th. "Oh, yeah. Son, I'm sorry. You didn't call. You didn't text. Nothing." I know. Sorry, I was traveling and you were posting a photo on Facebook. You didn't forget. You just didn't think it was important." Long silence. "Son, I'm so sorry, but you know how it is. Sometimes and my brother? Did he remember? I don't know. And my sister?" Silence. "Nobody remembered, Mom. Nobody. And you know what else? I wasn't even surprised." "Son, I don't understand why you're making this into a problem." And that was the sentence. That sentence sealed everything. Because I wasn't making it into a problem. The problem always existed. I had just stopped pretending it didn't exist. "I'm not making anything into a problem, Mom. I'm just stopping solving yours." What does that mean? It means I'm tired. Tired of only being remembered when you need me. Tired of calling, of asking, of helping, of always being available for a family that isn't available for me. That's unfair. We always what, Mom? Always been there? When? Tell me one time you were there for me. Silence. Long. Heavy. "I've always loved you, son." I know, but love without presence is just a word. I hung up. In the following days, nothing changed. My mother didn't call back. My brother remained invisible. My sister too. And me? I continued living, but in a different way. I started paying attention to the little things, to how my day was lighter when I didn't carry their emotional weight, to how my cell phone no longer gave me that tightness in my chest every time it rang, to how I could finally breathe. I didn't block anyone. I didn't make any grand announcements. I didn't write a farewell letter. I just withdrew. I answered when they asked me something directly. But I didn't offer anything more than that. I didn't ask how they were doing. I didn't solve problems that weren't mine. I wasn't available 24 hours a day. 3 months later, it was Christmas. My mother texted, "Son, we're going to get together here at home on the 25th. Are you coming?" I looked at the message. I thought about all the previous Christmases. I always went. I always brought food. I always helped tidy up the house. I always stayed up late cleaning. And I always left there feeling empty. I won't be able to do it this year, Mom. What do you mean? It's Christmas. I know, But I'll spend it with some friends. A lie. I was going to spend it alone, but it was a solitude I chose, and that made all the difference. Son, the family has to be together at Christmas. I understand. But this year, I prefer to stay here. She didn't answer. My brother texted on the 26th. Dude, we missed you yesterday. Mom was upset. I read it. I didn't reply. I spent Christmas alone. I ate pizza. I watched bad movies. I drank a beer. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel guilty. Because guilt is what you feel when you think you owe something. And I didn't owe anything anymore. I had already paid too much. The following months were the strangest of my life. Because I expected to feel empty. I expected to feel lonely. I expected to feel regret. But I didn't feel any of that. I felt peace. A strange peace. Almost uncomfortable at first. Because I wasn't used to it. I spent 25 years being needed. And suddenly, I wasn't anymore. And that's okay. I started doing things I had never done before. I went out to dinner alone. I went to the movies alone. I bought a book I'd wanted to read for years and never had time for. I started walking in the morning before work. Small things. But they made a difference. Because they were mine. Only mine. They had nothing to do with being useful, with solving problems, with providing for others. I began to exist outside of my, role. And it was scary. But it was good. 4 months after my birthday, my sister called me. I answered. Hi, Uncle. Hi. It's been a long time, hasn't it? Yeah. Look, I wanted to talk to you. I miss you. I didn't answer. Seriously. We've always been close and, I don't know, you disappeared. I didn't disappear. I just stopped showing up when nobody called me. Silence. Uncle, I know I'm not the best sister in the world, but do you know when my birthday was? Long silence. I don't remember now. It was 4 months ago. You didn't text. You didn't call. Nothing. I'm sorry, And do you know when you contacted me again? When you needed money? That's not fair. Why not? Because I also have my life, my problems, my son. I know. And I'm not blaming you. I'm just showing you a pattern. You only remember I exist when you need something. That's not true. Then tell me, when was the last time you called me just to see how I was doing? Silence. Exactly. I said calmly. Uncle, Look, I'm not angry. I'm not hurt. I'm just tired. And I've decided to stop. Stop what? Being available to those who aren't available to me. She hung up. 2 weeks later, my mother showed up at my house. Unannounced. She knocked on the door at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. I opened it. She looked tired, her eyes red. Hi, son. Hi, Mom. Did something happen? Can I come in? I hesitated, but I let her in. She came in, looked around, and sat on the sofa. I sat in the armchair opposite. Silence. Your brother told me you don't want to help anyone anymore. I took a deep breath. That's not it. Then what is it? I didn't say I wouldn't help anyone. I just said I wouldn't offer anymore. If you need anything, you can ask. But I won't guess anymore. I won't anticipate anymore. I won't carry problems that aren't mine anymore. But we're family. I know. Family helps family. And family remembers family too, Mom. Remembers to ask how someone is doing. Remembers to call without needing anything. Remembers birthdays. She looked away. I already apologized for that. I know, but it wasn't just the birthday. It was everything. It was 25 years of being invisible, being remembered only when it was useful. That's not true. Mom, look me in the eye and tell me, when was the last time you called me just to talk to me? Silence. When was the last time you asked if I was okay? If I was tired? If I needed anything? Tears began to stream down her face. Son, I'm your mother. I've always cared. Then why does it seem like you only call when you need me to solve something? Because you always solved things. You were always the strong one, the one who held things together, the one who didn't complain. And you think I don't get tired? That I don't break? She remained silent, wiping away her tears. I didn't know you felt this way. Because you never asked. She lowered her head. We remained silent for a few minutes. When she raised her face again, she said, "What do you want me to do?" "Nothing, Mom. I don't want you to do anything." "Then why are you doing this?" "Because I need to stop." She left half an hour later without saying anything else. I didn't hear from her for weeks. My brother didn't get in touch either. My sister sent a generic good morning message once, but didn't take the conversation any further. And me? I kept living. But with a difference. Now I knew what I had done. I hadn't abandoned anyone. I had just stopped abandoning myself. Because that's what I had been doing for years. Abandoning myself to be available for them. Emptying myself to fill them. And in the process, I had ceased to exist. 6 months after my birthday, I was sitting in a cafe, reading, when my cell phone rang. It was my mother. I answered. "Hi, son." "Hi, Mom." Pause. "I just wanted to call to see how you are." That caught me off guard. "I'm fine." "Working a lot?" "The usual." "And are you happy?" I stopped. I thought. I am, more than before. Silence. "That's good?" Another silence. But this time it wasn't heavy. It was just real. "Mom, thanks for calling. I should have called sooner, much sooner." "I know." "Son, I know I failed. And I know that just apologizing doesn't solve anything. But I want to try, really try." I felt something strange in my chest. It wasn't immediate forgiveness. It wasn't magical reconciliation. It was just a small opening. "We can try, Mom. But it will be different. I know. I'm not going back to being who I was. I understand. And you need to understand that I'm not doing this to hurt anyone. I'm doing it because I need to exist, too. I understand, son. I swear I understand." We talked for a few more minutes. Nothing deep, nothing resolved for good. But it was the first real conversation we'd had in years. When I hung up, I didn't feel victory. I didn't feel complete relief. I just felt that, for the first time, I had put myself first, and that didn't make me selfish. It made me human. Today, almost a year after that birthday, things are different. My mother calls me once a week, sometimes just to chat, sometimes still to ask for something. But now she asks if I can, instead of assuming I will. My brother reappeared 2 months ago. He invited me for a beer. We talked. He didn't ask for anything, just talked. It was strange, but it was good. My sister is still distant, but she sent me a picture of my nephew, the other day with the caption, "He looks like you." It was small, but it was something. I don't know if we'll ever be close again. Honestly, I don't even know if I want to. Because forced closeness isn't love. It's habit. And I've spent my whole life confusing the two. What I do know is that I'm no longer invisible. Not because they see me anymore, but because I see myself. I exist outside of my role. I exist in my silences, in my choices, in my refusals. And for the first time, that's enough. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't an abrupt cut. It wasn't drama. It was just a limit. A late limit, but a necessary one. I learned that you can love people from afar. That family isn't an automatic obligation. That being alone isn't loneliness when it's a choice. And that nobody will value you if you don't value yourself first. That silent birthday was the worst and the best day of my life, because it was the day I stopped waiting to be seen, and I started seeing myself. It's not a happy ending like in movies. There's no group hug, no moving music, no magical reconciliation. It's just a 43-year-old man who finally learned to say no, and who discovered that it doesn't make you selfish. It sets you free. If this story touched you, if you've been through something similar, or if you're still in that place of giving without receiving anything in return, I want you to do one thing. Like this video, not because of the algorithm, but because you understood, because you felt it, and subscribe to the channel. Because I'm going to keep telling stories like this, stories of real people who get tired, who break down, but who find a way to get back up. And now, click on the video that's appearing on your screen. It's about someone who discovered something devastating about their own family, and the way they dealt with it will surprise you. Don't leave it for later, because stories like this need to be heard now. You won't regret it.